got Marcus Scott here.
Hey, my pleasure.
It is so good to see
What's
you,
up,
man.
man? How you
Man,
doing?
so we know each other about maybe 5-6 years
I
now.
would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
Met you at BB's.
Yes, you did. Yeah, back when I was running over there. So I saw you there, and the next thing I knew, you dropped off the face of the map, but you didn't really drop off the face of the map. You kind of launched off into this band, Tower of Power, man.
Yeah, man, that was an experience.
So for people who don't know, who's Tower of Power? For the small people who don't know who Tower of Power is, who's Tower of Power?
Power is a soul band based out of Oakland, California.
Just your voice and the way you say that.
Yeah.
You should do some radio,
you can hear
man.
the soul, right?
Oh, my God.
Keep the soul alive. But yeah, it's a soul band based out of Oakland, California. I ended up auditioning for the guys in Vegas, and man, from 2016 to 2020, it just catapulted. Yeah.
Come on.
It was an amazing experience.
Come on.
We are Tower of Power, and we're celebrating 50 years of this good old soul, funky music, baby. Now, if you came in to have a good time, I want somebody to say, yeah.
What got you into, obviously you didn't just wake up one day and start singing with Tower of Power. What got your passion into singing? Where did that come from?
Passion for singing came from just when I was a kid. I would sit next to the radio, glued next to the radio, and I would just mimic everything that I heard, everything, which was a blessing, and it became a curse because it took me a while to find my voice. I was able to emulate everything else, but that passion started when I was a child, man. Just listening to the radio. My mom would play gospel music, but when she would leave out, I would tune into the V101.1.
So you grew up on that gospel?
Yeah, I grew up on that gospel. Then I would tune into the R&B stations, scan until I would hear a little something. And I remember hearing "So Very Hard to Go" by Tower of Power. I was had to be about 5 years old. And then "What Is Hip." So I was introduced to them a while ago, but little did I know I was going to be the front man for 4 years. So that was amazing.
Did you sing in church at all coming up?
I did, definitely sang in church. Shout out to Olivet, man. Olivet Fellowship, New Olivet. Pastor Kenneth Whalum Jr., man. They pretty much adopted the apartments that we stayed in. And they just treated us so well. But I was singing the youth choir there.
Because you're from Memphis, right?
Yeah, I am. Damian Savage was over the youth choir at the time, too.
Was he?
Got a chance to meet David Mason there on the drums.
Come on.
Calvin Barnes. So a lot of these great musicians, man, out of Memphis started at Olivet at the church.
Yeah?
So, yeah, I started singing there, man. At home by the radio, but then eventually singing at the church.
Okay, so connect the dots for me from singing at a church, passionate about music, listening to Tower of Power, to being out with Tower of Power. Connect those dots for me. Tell me about that.
So I'll talk about that. I was at BB King's at the time. I just sat in on the stage with the band, and Tony T.C. Coleman, BB King's drummer at the time, he got a chance to hear me. I was emulating John Williams, the bass player / singer with the 8440 band. And I remember just at the end of the song, Love and Happiness, I was like, yeah. And Tony heard that. He was like, this dude sounds just like John Williams. But then all of a sudden, they had a session the next day, and they invited me to the session. After the session, Tony and I, we stayed in touch a bit. And I'll say literally 3 years later after that, Tony ended up talking me up to the leader of Tower of Power, Emilio Castillo.
Yeah.
They were auditioning singers. Tony called him and was like, dude, don't look no further. I found the perfect guy. He was like, I know you're auditioning. No, stop what you're doing. I found the perfect guy. And he just bigged me up. He talked me up. And Emilio ended up calling my phone, man, and said, hey, we saw a few videos. We heard about you through Tony Coleman. Would you like to audition for the band?
Did you know Tony before that, or did he just hear you randomly and was like that voice?
Before BB's.
Just, oh, yeah.
Nah, not before BB's. That's how we met because he was really close friends with John Williams. So he knew that voice. He was like, wait, who's this young kid?
There it is.
Singing like this. And so he caught that. And we stuck together ever since, man. Him introducing me to Emilio Castillo was one of the biggest things, one of the biggest gifts, besides just preparation for that gig. Yeah. So yeah, Tony T.C. Coleman, man. A big shout out to you, man. Thank you for introducing me to the leader of Tower of Power.
So was there a moment for you that it actually came full circle? Was there a moment backstage or even for the audition that you're like, oh my gosh?
It happened one time.
I'm here from listening to that as a kid to now actually. It doesn't happen to many people.
I agree. I would say so. I remember having a moment at Jazz Alley, Demetrio's Jazz Alley in Seattle, Washington. Tony TC came backstage, and it just kind of dawned on me. I remember him calling me, "Hey, how you doing, man?" I had 4 songs to audition to, and I would sing them to Tony over the phone. He'd be like, "Let me hear what you got." And whatever I was making a mistake, Tony would correct me and say, "Hey, man, if you do it this way, they'll love this." So he really paved the way for that. But back to what you were saying, it came full circle to have Tony Coleman come back there and just sit backstage with us. And it hit me. He's back there talking to David Garibaldi. He's back there talking to Funky Doctor, Emilio Castillo. And I'm just looking around. I'm like, I'm not just Marcus who was singing at BB's.
Yeah.
Now here I am, Marcus, the front man for the band. Now here I am, Marcus, recording 2 albums with the band.
They done found the ugly stroke. You done found the stroke. Well, we done found the ugly stroke. We all done found the stroke. We done found the ugly stroke.
So that's when it really hit me. And when I look back on just the connections I end up getting with other bands like Scary Pockets. I got a chance to do a cool rendition of Benny and the Jets.
Yeah.
Man. And that was one of my favorite covers ever to do.
I was going to ask you about that. Looking back, has that been your favorite collaboration that you've
That was
done?
one of my favorite collaborations, I got to say.
Okay.
That one,
why is that one your favorite?
I would say because it was my first time ever getting a chance to do an Elton John song, but add a little Memphis soul to it. So
Yeah.
It was interesting to do. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, gets plugged into your favorites. Maybe they're blind, but Benny makes them English. We shall survive, better take ourselves along. Where we find our parents out in the street to know who's right and who's wrong. Get in, rock me and sing it. Oh, but the so spaced out.
So looking back on your time with Tower Power, do you have a favorite venue? You have a favorite concert you've done that sticks in your mind going, that's the highlight of it?
And I have to send you a picture of this. I looked at it in my phone the other day. It was a moment that I had. It was one of the hugest performances at Royal Albert Hall. But my most favorite was Tiny Desk. I got a chance to just stand on the desk and just express myself and entertain as if we were in front of this huge audience. When really it's like sort of an office space with cubicles, and you'll see behind the scenes a little bit when Usher's performing. You'll see the guys, but I got a chance to just interact with everybody, and you can hear the responses. So I would say Tiny Desk.
So how many people, I've never seen behind the cameras, how many people actually, is there a lot of people there?
Not
is it really in an office?
It's really in an office.
It is really in an office.
Yeah, it's
Just
really
in
in
the
the
back
office.
corner? Or?
Yeah, it's in the office, and it was about 40 people standing there, part of the production team.
Not including the band.
Yeah, no. Right. And they were trying to get the band, bring it down. But that was behind the scenes doing that. But if you can actually look on YouTube, you'll see the actual show, man. Tiny Desk was one of my favorite ones. Yes,
Question is, what is hip? Say it again. What is hip? Say it again. What is hip? I like it. What is hip? Stick it. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Tiny Desk. Tower Power. Here we go. We're gonna give it to you like this. So you wanna tip out your trick bag and ease on in the heel bag, but you ain't just exactly sure what's hip. So you started to let your hair grow, spin big butts top in your wardrobe. But somehow you know there's much more to the trip. Sing it. What is hip? Tell me, do you think you know? What is hip? If you really hip, the boss of you will show you in a hip trip. Maybe your body live now, but what is hip?
That's awesome. What do you feel like separated you from the rest of the people that tried out for this? What do you think was different
You know
about
what?
it?
I think the emotion that I added to it, that Memphis grit I was able to add to it. I don't think they ever had a guy from Memphis perform with them before. They've had several lead singers. But I think what separated me was the ability to learn the songs, but also convey that emotion, be emphatic on stage, make them believe the words I'm saying true. So literally after the audition, it was hilarious. The band looks at me like, okay. And then the leader of the band looks at me like, comes to me and just give me this fatherly hug like, we found the guy. So I guess I would say, I guess the other guys didn't get that type of love who auditioned, because he immediately took me backstage and we started discussing dates. Hey, man, we're going to be on the road, 200 dates a year. So prepare yourself, man. Get ready. We talked about, what the gig was paying, the salary and everything. And we all came to an agreement, man. And wow, the rest is history.
So what advice would you give to people who are aspiring singers, aspiring musicians who want to one day maybe tour with a band like Tower of Power, maybe want to do their own thing? Knowing what you know now, from your perspective, what advice would you either give to yourself before or to these young and up-and-comers that you wish maybe you would have known?
Wow, that's a good question. What advice I would give to an aspiring artist or a younger version of Marcus Scott is be prepared. Prepare yourself. Practice. If you really believe in this craft, you really love what you do, prepare yourself. Just as eager as you are to get on stage and perform, be as eager to prepare yourself and practice. And if you prepare yourself and practice, when the opportunity hits, all of a sudden, you walk straight through it.
Yeah.
I remember doing that, man, preparing myself. But don't be so hard on yourself when you make mistakes. Don't be so hard on yourself. It was one lyric. We were doing this song. It was a ballad called Willing to Learn. And, man, it was one of my favorite ballads to do besides Sparkling in the Sand with Tower of Power. But it was one little line on Willing to Learn. It was, how can I explain? And it was so funny. Emilio was on it because I'm over there about to get the lyric. And I'm like, I have this freeze. And he looks at me, how can I explain? So I ended up getting that part right. But all of the songs before then, What is Hip, Only So Much Oil in the Ground, Willing to Learn, So Very Hard to Go. As a matter of fact, those were the songs I auditioned, for Tower of Power with. So the advice I would give, once again, is be prepared, also be passionate. And one more thing, man, rest just as hard as you work. Focus on that mental health. That's very important. I believe in taking hikes and walks. Meditation is the medication. Y'all keep the soul alive. I'm telling you, man, I'll go off now.
What do you feel like is one of the mistakes you feel like you've made, and how did you notice that and overcome that?
I would say one of the mistakes, and I think it's pretty much a mistake that's hard to dodge. It's overthinking. As an artist, it's hard to get outside of your head when that's the very place you go to create.
Yeah.
So that's advice I can give. I would call that a mistake as far as overthinking, not learning how to balance those thoughts out. And so that's the reason why I mentioned going for those hikes, taking those bike rides, working out. That'll prevent you from overthinking.
Yeah.
In the process of preparation, in the process of creating that art, you visit this place in your head and it's hard to get out of. So I remember some certain shows I would do, and I would have my computer and I have my headphones and I'm just jamming. And Rocco, man, rest his soul, the bass player, Rocco, man, he would come to me and he would say, hey, man, you think long, you think wrong. That's what he would say to me. So I would say that, man, you think long, you think wrong, but you have to understand the root of thinking long, meaning the overthinking. The overthinking can come from anxiety, it can come from depression, it can come from anything. So we have to search within and recognize where that comes from. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a mistake. It's kind of something that you can't prevent as an artist because you visit that place so many times, but try not to overthink. And a cure for that is therapy. That's a great cure for that. Overthinking, it puts things into perspective. Introspection, man. So that's one of the things that I did struggle with being out there on the road, because I would lock myself in the room, man, and I would be obsessed with just learning that material because that was the goal. You got thousands of fans, millions of fans who know these lyrics, and here I am faced with having to learn all this material and tour the world with it.
Yeah.
So it was hard not to overthink.
Yeah.
But the advice I would give, man, try not to overthink. And if you find yourself overthinking too much, reach out to a therapist. You can even search the hashtag Keep the Soul Alive, and you'll see what I do in my spare time to prevent the overthinking. But it's a very hard thing to do when this is the place where you create the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going from a band whose identity was already set in stone since the 80s and transitioning to your own identity and making your own way with it. Talk to me about that, going from Tower Power to you have an album out now. What was that process like, and how's that going?
That process was interesting because I got a chance to meet some good friends at Sweetwater at the time during one of the shows. I got a chance to meet the former owner of Sweetwater, Chuck Ciroc, backstage, and he was a huge Tower fan. And we sat down and got a chance to talk. He and Mark Hornsby, who was working there at the time, and I just said, man, I want to do an album with you guys at Sweetwater. That process was good. I sent him a lot of demos. Mark, he pulled the Sweetwater All-Stars together. Shout out to Chuck Ciroc playing baritone saxophone on the album and executively producing the album.
Did he really?
Yeah, he was there the whole process. Every session, Chuck was there.
Yeah.
He was there.
I know he played.
Yeah, and he would ask questions, and we would just enjoy the stories that I would tell, like being on the road. But that was an interesting process, that recording that album, Back to the Soul, at Sweetwater Studios with the Sweetwater All-Stars. That was a good process. It was in the middle of touring with Tower, but we somehow got it done. We got vinyl, we got CD. Now we're in the middle of changing distribution companies, but you can actually find the album on Amazon, and you can stream it on YouTube if you want to. But yeah, Back to the Soul, man. That was a beautiful journey.
People say that I'm a joker, that I ain't no good for you. You may as well just walk away, 'cause his heart is made of stone. He's got trouble all around him, born and raised down in the hood. From the streets of North Memphis, he's no match for the likes of you. Mama said you better find a doctor or fireman. Papa said you better find a lawyer or a preacher man. Woman, I got news for you. I may not be what they say, but I can sure love you way more than what they say. What they say, what they say. Darling, I can love you way more than your mind.
In working with Back to the Soul, the album now, I'm actually touring with it now. Just got back from Australia. Just got back from Germany.
Yeah.
Just got back from London. So to be able to sing those songs to a crowd filled with perfect strangers and have them sing along with it, I'll say that's an exciting part. It can be nerve-wracking too, because you never know how they're going to receive. Yeah. I didn't know how they were going to receive Mark Scott, the artist, being that I wasn't, was no longer the front guy for Tower Power. Yeah. But they were just coming with the expectance of hearing some great music. So all I did was just release what was inside, and just they received it, man. So I would say touring with that album, Back to the Soul, it's been interesting. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but whatever's worth it, man, it's worth it. Whatever's not easy is worth the battle. So I would definitely say I'm fighting to get this album off the ground, Back to the Soul. So Memphis, thank you for embracing it, and all the other cities and countries, thank you for embracing it too. It is.
So back from Germany, Australia, are you going to be home for a little bit?
Yeah, I am, man.
Okay, so what's the plan now that you're back? I'm sure you're going to spend a little bit of time of R&R, be able to connect with the family, but what's the plan now?
So the plan now is I'm going to do some shows here in Memphis. It's been a while since I've done any public shows here in Memphis. It's been a while since I've done any shows in Memphis. So
is it open to the public? Anybody can come?
Yeah, it is. It's a spot called Love. Owner Curtis Gibbons, man. Shout out to Curtis Gibbons and what he does for the city. But I'll be there the first and third Thursday at Love. It's spelled L-O-V-E. Love. I think it's 7144 Winchester Road. I'll be going on stage at 7:30. I like to start on time. I really do. So if you plan on coming and enjoying these two wonderful sets with me and this beautiful band, come on out to Love on the first Thursday and third Thursday in the month of August, man. Come and join me in keeping the soul alive at Love. It's in Memphis, Tennessee, baby. So all my Memphians, come and show support.
Do you have any new recording projects coming up? Are you going to record any more albums? We got anything to look forward to?
You know what? I have written so many songs over the course of the past 2 years. So I don't know where I would start. So the next project I'm going to be working on that I'm almost done with, it's a mental health awareness project. It's going to be an EP, and it's something that you can meditate to, walk to, just breathe to, man. It's a beautiful project, man. And I'm doing it because I know I'm not the only one who's gone through any turmoil during the pandemic and just being a musician, period, not knowing how to sit still. So the latest project is going to be a mental health awareness EP.
Okay.
I don't know what I want to call it yet, but stay tuned.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Okay, awesome. If people want to find you and reach out to you on social media, you're on social media?
I am.
Okay.
I am. So
Where
you
can
can
they find
find me on Facebook, Marcus D. Scott. You can also find me on, Instagram, Marcus D. Scott as well. And you can find me as, it's another page I just created. It's called Marcus Scott _music.
Okay.
So you'll be able to find that. And if all else fails, you're feeling down, you're feeling low, you don't know how to find Marcus, just search the hashtag Keeping the Soul Alive.
Keeping the soul alive.
That's all you got to do.
I love it.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much for taking the time, man. I know you're a busy guy.
Man, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Man, thank you, man.
Wait a minute. What about my people up top? I want you to say, oh, yeah! And my people all the way in the back, make some noise! All right. Now, what I want you guys to do is clap your hands like this, y'all. Wait a minute now. We can't give you too much too soon now. But I gotta tell you, me and the fellas came in with a message just for you. And we're gonna give it to you loud and clear, y'all. Say, fellas, we're gonna give it to them, y'all. Let's give it to them like this. Come on.